The rain pounded against the windows of the bus as Andre stared at the passing streetlights, his body heavy with exhaustion. The late shift at the warehouse had run longer than expected, and his feet ached in his worn work boots. He checked his watch, almost midnight. Mrs. Chen from next door would need to get home to her own family, and he hated asking her to watch his kids this late. Andre pulled the cord for his stop, gathering his lunch bag in the small toy truck he'd found on clearance for Michael's birthday next week. The bus hissed to a halt, and he nodded a tired thanks to the driver before stepping into the downpour. He pulled his jacket tighter, ducking his head against the rain as he hurried down the 3 blocks to his small rental house. As he rounded the corner onto his street, Andre noticed something unusual on his front porch. Through the curtain of rain, he could make out a shape sitting on his steps. He slowed his pace, caution replacing fatigue. The neighborhood wasn't dangerous, but it wasn't exactly safe either, especially this late. Drawing closer, Andre realized it was an elderly woman sitting hunched against his door, a plastic shopping bag pulled over her head for protection from the rain. She wore a floral dress that had seen better days and sensible shoes caked with mud. She didn't look threatening, just lost and very wet. "Excuse me, ma'am," Andre called out, still keeping some distance. "Are you okay?" The woman looked up, her face lined with age and confusion. Water dripped from her chin as she blinked at him. "Is this Pine Street?" "I'm trying to get to 437 Pine Street." Andre shook his head. "This is Oakwood Drive. Pine Street is about 20 blocks from here on the other side of town." The woman's shoulders slumped. "Oh dear, I must have taken the wrong bus." Again. Her voice trembled, whether from cold or fear Andre couldn't tell. He should just point her to the bus stop, maybe give her directions. The last thing he needed was another problem. The electricity bill was 2 weeks overdue. Michael needed new shoes, and his boss had warned that hours might be cut next month. But the rain was coming down harder now, and the woman looked at least 75 years old. "The buses stopped running about half an hour ago," Andre said finally. "Do you have someone you can call to pick you up?" The woman patted her pockets and looked around at her feet. "My purse. I don't know where." Panic flashed across her face. "My daughter's number was in my purse." Andre climbed the steps, keys in hand. "Let's get you out of this rain first, and then we can figure things out." The door swung open to reveal Mrs. Chen sitting on his couch, the TV playing quietly. She stood quickly when she saw him with the stranger. "Sorry I'm late," Andre said. "How are the kids?" "Both sleeping," Mrs. Chen replied, eyeing the elderly woman with curiosity. "Everything okay?" Andre helped the woman to a kitchen chair. "This lady got lost. Took the wrong bus, I think. She needs to get to Pine Street, but the buses aren't running anymore." Mrs. Chen gathered her coat. "You want me to stay and help?" Andre shook his head. "You've done enough tonight. Thanks for watching them." He pulled out his wallet and handed her the money they'd agreed on, plus a little extra for the late hour. After Mrs. Chen left, Andre filled a mug with hot water and dropped in a tea bag. He placed it in front of the woman, who had stopped shivering but still looked disoriented. "My name's Andre," he said. "What's yours?" "Rose," she replied, wrapping her fingers around the warm mug. "Rose Wilson. I was visiting my daughter earlier. She wanted me to stay, but I told her I'd be fine getting home myself." She looked down at her wet clothes. "I guess I was wrong." Andre found a clean towel in the hallway closet and handed it to her. "Do you remember your daughter's phone number? Or your home phone?" Rose closed her eyes, concentrating hard. "Jenny's number starts with 555, but I can't remember the rest. And my home phone," she shook her head. "The numbers just won't come." Andre pulled out his phone. "What's your daughter's last name?" "Maybe I can look her up." "Parker. Jennifer Parker." Andre searched for Jennifer Parker in the local directory but found 8 listings. He tried calling the first 2, but one went straight to voicemail and the other belonged to a teenager who had no idea who Rose Wilson was. "Let me try something else," Andre said, opening the browser on his phone. "What's your address, Mrs. Wilson?" Rose's face clouded. "It's 437 Pine Street. Or is it 473? No, 437. I've lived there for 40 years since my Harold and I got married." Her eyes grew distant. "Harold's been gone 6 years now. The house feels so big without him." Andre searched for senior services and emergency shelters. The nearest shelter was full because of the storm, and senior services had an emergency line, but they explained they couldn't help until morning unless it was a medical emergency. Andre looked at Rose, who was sipping her tea, her wedding ring loose on her thin finger. He glanced at the clock, almost 1 a.m. now. His shift tomorrow started at noon. He had 2 kids who needed breakfast and to be dropped off at school. He had exactly $43 in his bank account until payday 3 days away. "Mrs. Wilson," he said gently, "I think you might need to stay here tonight. In the morning we can call your daughter or senior services to help you get home." Rose looked up, her eyes clearing slightly. "Oh, I couldn't impose. You've been so kind already. If you could just call me a taxi." "It's late and the storm's getting worse," Andre explained. "And I'm not sure you should be alone right now." He didn't mention that a taxi across town would cost at least $30, money he didn't have to spare. He showed Rose to the bathroom and found an old t-shirt and sweatpants that had belonged to his wife, Denise, before cancer took her 3 years ago. He hadn't been able to donate her clothes yet, and now he was grateful for that small failure. "These might be more comfortable to sleep in," he said, placing them on the counter. The couch pulls out into a bed. "It's not great, but it's better than a bus stop." While Rose changed, Andre quickly straightened the living room and found clean sheets for the pull-out bed. He was making up the couch when his daughter Lily appeared in the hallway, rubbing her eyes. "Dad? Who are you talking to?" Andre put his finger to his lips. "There's a lost lady who needs a place to stay tonight. Remember how we talked about helping people when they need it?" Lily nodded solemnly. At 9 years old, she had become his partner in many ways since her mother died, growing up too fast. "Is she going to be okay?" Lily whispered. "I hope so, sweetheart. We're going to help her find her family tomorrow." Rose emerged from the bathroom, swimming in Denise's clothes but looking warmer. She smiled when she saw Lily. "Hello there," she said. "You must be Andre's daughter." "I'm Rose," Lily gave a small wave. "I'm Lily. Are you lost?" Rose nodded. "A bit. But your dad is helping me." "He's good at helping," Lily said matter-of-factly. "He says Mom watches us do it from heaven." Rose's eyes softened. "I bet she does." Andre gently steered Lily back to bed, tucking her in and kissing her forehead. When he returned, Rose was sitting on the edge of the pull-out bed, looking around the modest living room at the family photos and the small bookshelf filled with children's books. "You have a beautiful family," she said quietly. "Thank you," Andre replied, handing her an extra blanket. "It's just the 3 of us now, but we manage." "I had a feeling," Rose said. "Lily has that look in her eyes. Children who've lost someone carry it differently than adults." She smoothed the blanket over her lap. "My Harold and I raised 4 children. Only Jenny is nearby now. The others moved away for work." Andre nodded, understanding the unspoken weight of loneliness in her words. "Is there anything else you need?" he asked. "Any water? Another blanket?" Rose shook her head. "You've done more than enough. Most people wouldn't even stop to help these days." She settled against the pillow. "I used to be sharp as a tack, you know. Kept all the books for Harold's hardware store. Now I get lost going to places I've been 100 times. Andre thought about his own mother, who lived 2 states away with his sister. He called when he could, but it wasn't enough. Life had a way of pulling people apart. "Try to get some sleep, Mrs. Wilson. Things will look clearer in the morning." As Andre turned to go to his own room, Rose called out softly, "Andre, thank you for not turning me away. There was another house before yours. They just closed the door." Andre paused in the doorway, thinking of all the closed doors in his own life. Jobs denied, loans refused, opportunities just out of reach. "Get some rest," he said. "We'll figure things out tomorrow." In his bedroom, Andre set his alarm for 6 a.m., 2 hours earlier than usual. He'd need the extra time to help Rose before getting the kids to school. As he lay in bed, listening to the rain against the window, he wondered about Rose's daughter, if she was worried sick or if she hadn't even noticed her mother was missing. He thought about his own children and how quickly they were growing up without a mother. Michael had Denise's smile, and sometimes when he laughed, it was like hearing an echo from the past. Lily was becoming the woman Denise would have raised her to be. Kind, strong, and too serious sometimes. Andre closed his eyes, exhaustion finally winning over worry. Tomorrow would bring its own challenges, but for tonight, everyone under his roof was safe and dry. Sometimes that had to be enough. Andre's alarm buzzed at 6, and for a moment he couldn't remember why he'd set it so early. Then the memory of last night's rain. and the elderly woman on his porch flooded back. He rubbed his eyes and swung his feet to the floor, listening for any sounds in the apartment. The soft clinking of dishes from the kitchen told him someone was already awake. Andre quickly pulled on a clean t-shirt and stepped into the hallway, expecting to find Lily up early. Instead, he found Rose at the stove, a dish towel tied around her waist as an improvised apron. "Mrs. Wilson, what are you doing?" Andre asked, confused. Rose turned, a spatula in her hand. "Good morning. Hope you don't mind. I found some eggs and a bit of cheese in your fridge. Thought the least I could do was make everyone breakfast." Andre looked past her to see a mixing bowl with pancake batter and a small stack already made. The eggs sizzled in the pan and the rich smell of coffee filled the small kitchen. "You didn't have to do that," he said, feeling embarrassed at the meager contents of his refrigerator that she must have seen. "Nonsense," Rose replied. "I've been up since 5. Never could sleep past sunrise even when I was young." She flipped the eggs with practiced ease. "Besides, cooking for one person is no fun. I miss cooking for a family." Before Andre could respond, Lily appeared, her hair a wild tangle around her face. She froze when she saw Rose, then remembered the night before. "You made pancakes?" she asked, her eyes wide. Rose nodded. "I hope you like them. I added a little vanilla. It's what my mother always did." Lily climbed onto a kitchen chair. "Mom used to make pancakes on Sundays." She looked at Andre. "Is it Sunday?" "No, sweetheart, it's Thursday. Mrs. Wilson is just being nice." Andre poured himself a cup of coffee. "But we need to hurry. You've still got school today." "I laid out clothes for both children," Rose said, sliding eggs onto a plate. "I hope that's okay. The little boy, Michael, right? His room was a bit messy, so I straightened up a bit. Couldn't help myself." Andre felt a wave of self-consciousness. He tried to keep the place clean, but between work and the kids, things often slipped. "You really didn't have to do that." "Dad, come on!" Michael's voice called from the bathroom. "I can't find my blue shirt." "Be right there," Andre called back, giving Rose an apologetic look. "It's hanging on his closet door," Rose said with a smile. "Along with his jeans and that sweater with the rocket ship. He told me it was his favorite when I checked on him earlier." Andre hesitated, caught between gratitude and discomfort at having a stranger, even a kind, elderly woman, going through his children's things. But Michael appeared, dressed in exactly what Rose had described. His face lit up with excitement about the pancakes. The next 45 minutes passed in a blur of breakfast, backpacks, and last-minute homework checks. Rose moved around the kitchen with surprising energy for someone her age, packing lunches with the odds and ends she found in the pantry. When Andre tried to take over, she gently shooed him away. "You finish your coffee," she insisted. "I've made thousands of school lunches in my time." By 7:30, Andre had the kids ready at the door. He turned to Rose, who was washing the breakfast dishes. "I need to drop them at school, then I'll come back and help you find your daughter," he said. "Will you be okay here for about 30 minutes? Rose wiped her hands on the dish towel. "I'll be just fine. Maybe I'll tidy up a bit more." "You don't have to," Andre began. "I know I don't have to," Rose interrupted gently, "but I want to. It helps me feel useful." When Andre returned home after dropping the kids off, he found his small living room transformed. The cushions were plumped, the scattered toys organized into the old toy box, and the thin carpet had been vacuumed with the ancient machine he kept forgetting to use. Rose sat at the kitchen table, a pad of paper in front of her. "I hope you don't mind," she said, gesturing around. "Keeping busy keeps my mind clear." "It looks great," Andre admitted, then nodded at the paper. "What's that?" "I've been trying to remember more about my daughter's contact information. I think her number might be written down in my apartment. If we could get there, I could find it." Andre sat across from her. "Do you remember your exact address now?" Rose nodded firmly. 437 Pine Street, apartment 2B. I've lived there for 12 years, ever since I had to sell our house after Harold passed. Andre pulled out his phone. "Let me call a cab." Rose put her hand on his arm. "Wait, before you do that, I wanted to talk about last night." Her eyes were clearer today, focused and sharp. "I wasn't myself. Sometimes my mind gets foggy, especially when I'm tired or stressed." "It happens to everyone," Andre said kindly. "Not like this." Rose sighed. "My doctor calls it mild cognitive impairment. Some days are better than others. Yesterday was not a good day." Andre nodded, understanding dawning. That's why your daughter wanted you to stay over. Jenny worries too much, Rose said, a flash of stubbornness crossing her face. She's been talking about assisted living facilities. Says I can't manage on my own anymore. She straightened her shoulders. But I'm not ready for that. Not yet. Andre checked the time. He still had a few hours before his shift. Let's get you home and then we can call your daughter from there. The taxi ride to Pine Street took 20 minutes and cost Andre almost half of what remained in his wallet. Rose tried to protest, but he insisted on paying. As they pulled up to a small but well-maintained apartment building, Rose's face brightened with recognition. Yes, this is it, she exclaimed. Second floor, first door on the left. They climbed the stairs slowly, Rose gripping the railing. At her door, she reached into the pocket of the borrowed sweatpants and frowned. My keys, they must be in my purse, which I lost. She looked close to tears. Is there a building manager? Andre asked. Or a spare key somewhere? Mrs. Patel across the hall has one, Rose said. Number 2C. Luckily, Mrs. Patel was home, a petite woman with silver hair and a concerned expression. Rose, we've been worried sick. Your daughter called last night looking for you. With the spare key, they entered Rose's apartment. It was small but cozy, filled with photographs and mementos of a long life. Rose immediately went to the telephone table and pulled out an address book. Here it is, she said triumphantly, pointing to a number. Jenny's cell phone. Andre dialed the number and a frantic voice answered on the first ring. Mom? Is that you? Mrs. Parker? This is Andre Thompson. Your mother is with me. She's safe. The relief in Jenny's voice was palpable. After a quick explanation of how Rose had ended up at his house, Jenny promised to come right over. She lived across town and could be there in about 40 minutes. While they waited, Rose insisted on making tea. As the kettle boiled, she showed Andre around her apartment, pointing out photos of her children and grandchildren. That's Jenny, she said, indicating a woman in her 50s with Rose's same kind eyes. And those are her boys, all grown up now. One's in college, the other just got married last year. Andre picked up a photo of a younger Rose standing next to a tall man with a gentle smile. Harold? Rose nodded, her face softening. 47 years together. Still not long enough. She looked at Andre. Your wife, how long has she been gone? 3 years this August, Andre replied, the familiar ache in his chest. Cancer, it happened fast. Rose placed a weathered hand on his. The pain changes shape, but it never quite leaves, does it? You just learn to build a life around it. They sat in comfortable silence, sipping tea until a knock at the door announced Jenny's arrival. She burst in, a flurry of concern and relief, embracing her mother tightly. Mom, I was so worried. When you didn't come home, I called everyone. I even filed a police report. Rose patted her daughter's back. I'm fine, Jenny. Andre here took good care of me. Jenny turned to Andre, gratitude written across her face. I don't know how to thank you. With Mom's memory issues, anything could have happened. Andre shook his head. Anyone would have done the same. No, Jenny said firmly. They wouldn't have. Trust me. She pulled out her wallet. Please let me give you something for your trouble. Andre backed away, hands raised. That's not necessary, really, Rose spoke up. He's a proud one, Jenny. Just like your father was. She looked at Andre with a twinkle in her eye. But he's got 2 beautiful children and works himself to the bone for them. A single father doing his best. Jenny nodded, understanding. At least let me drive you home. It's the least I can do. On the ride back to his house, Jenny told Andre more about her mother's condition, how it had been getting worse over the past year, how she worried constantly but respected her mother's wish to maintain her independence. She was always the strong one, Jenny said. Raised 4 kids, ran the books for my dad's business, volunteered at church. Now she gets confused about which bus to take home. Andre thought about his own mother living far away. Would he know if she started to struggle? Would she tell him? When they reached his house, Jenny handed him a bus. An essay card. I'm a real estate attorney. If you ever need anything at all, please call. Mom doesn't warm up to people easily anymore, but she clearly thinks the world of you and your kids. Andre took the card, thanked her, and watched them drive away. His house felt strangely empty as he stepped inside. The faint smell of pancakes still lingered in the kitchen. He had to leave for work soon, but for a moment, he sat at the kitchen table, thinking about Rose and her daughter, about his own children, and about how quickly life could change, sometimes in just one rainy night. 2 weeks passed, and life returned to its normal rhythm for Andre. Wake up, get the kids to school, work his shift at the warehouse, pick up extra hours when he could, help with homework, make dinner, fall into bed exhausted, then do it all again the next day. But something had shifted since the night Rose had appeared on his doorstep. The kids asked about her regularly, especially Lily, who had taken to setting an extra place at the table, just in case Rose comes back. Andre would gently remove the extra plate, explaining that Rose was home with her own family now. On Friday afternoon, Andre's supervisor called him into the office. The warehouse was cutting back hours, and as one of the newer employees, Andre would be reduced to 3 days a week instead of 5. The news hit him like a physical blow. "I'm sorry, Thompson," his supervisor said, looking genuinely regretful. "You're a good worker. If things pick up next quarter, you'll be first in line for more hours." Andre nodded, trying to keep his expression neutral. "I understand. Thanks for letting me know." He walked back to his station in a daze. 3 days a week wouldn't cover rent, let alone utilities and food. His evening job at the convenience store would help, but not enough. The careful balance he'd maintained since Denise's death was about to collapse. That night, after the kids were asleep, Andre sat at the kitchen table with bills spread out before him. He moved them around like puzzle pieces, trying to make the numbers work. Maybe if he delayed the electric bill 1 more month, but they'd already sent a final notice. The rent was due in a week and he was already short. Andre rubbed his eyes, bone-tired. He'd been here before, teetering on the edge of financial disaster. Somehow they'd always made it through. A tax refund arriving just in time, an unexpected bonus, a friend offering hand-me-down clothes for the kids. But his safety net was wearing thin. The small emergency fund Denise had insisted they build was long gone, spent on medical bills in the final months of her illness. A knock at the door startled him. It was past 9, too late for casual visitors. Andre approached cautiously, wishing for a peephole. When he opened the door, Rose stood there with a large covered dish in her hands. Behind her, Jenny waited with a canvas tote bag. "Rose," Andre blinked in surprise. "Is everything okay?" "Everything's fine," Rose assured him, stepping inside without waiting for an invitation. "We were in the neighborhood and thought we'd stop by. I hope that's all right." Andre looked from Rose to Jenny, confusion evident on his face. Jenny gave him an apologetic smile. Mom insisted. She made lasagna and wouldn't take no for an answer. Rose was already heading for the kitchen. "It needs about 20 minutes in the oven to warm up." "Where are the children?" "I brought cookies too." Andre followed her. "They're asleep. It's a school night." "Oh." Rose looked disappointed as she set the dish on the counter. "Well, they can have cookies tomorrow." Andre scrambled to clear the bills from the table, but not before Jenny noticed them. She said nothing, helping her mother unpack several containers of food from the tote bag. "Mom's been cooking all day," Jenny explained. "Enough to feed an army. Our freezer was full, so..." She gestured at the food. "We thought you might appreciate some home cooking." Andre wanted to refuse. Pride told him to politely thank them and send them on their way. But the refrigerator behind him was nearly empty, and tomorrow was still 3 days from payday. "That's very kind of you," he said finally. "The kids will be thrilled," Rose beamed. "I remembered how Lily liked the pancakes, and all children like cookies." They sat at the table while the lasagna warmed, making small talk. Rose asked about the children, and Andre found himself sharing stories about Lily's science project and Michael's t-ball game. It felt good to talk about his kids to someone who seemed genuinely interested. Jenny mentioned her work as an attorney, and Rose proudly listed her daughter's accomplishments. "She helps people keep their homes when banks try to take them," Rose said. "My Jenny fights for the little guy." "Foreclosure defense is just one part of my practice, Mom," Jenny said with a fond eye roll. "I do all kinds of real estate law." Andre nodded, wondering what someone like Jenny charged per hour. Probably more than he made in a week. After they'd eaten a slice of lasagna each, with Andre trying not to seem too hungry, Jenny cleared her throat. "Andre, Mom has been talking about you and your kids nonstop since that night. She really connected with your family." Jenny glanced at Rose, who was busy arranging cookies on a plate. "I haven't seen her this engaged in a long time. Her doctor says social interaction is crucial for slowing cognitive decline." Andre nodded, unsure where this was going. "What I'm trying to say," Jenny continued, is that it would mean a lot to both of us if we could visit occasionally. Maybe have dinner together sometimes. She hesitated. Mom could spend time with the kids and I noticed you have some paperwork spread out. I'm pretty good with financial stuff if you ever want another set of eyes. Andre felt heat rise to his face. We're doing fine. Rose looked up from her cookies. Andre Thompson, don't you dare let pride get in the way of friendship. That's what this is, friendship, not charity. The firmness in her voice reminded Andre of his own mother. He found himself smiling despite his embarrassment. Sunday dinners, Rose declared. When I was growing up, Sunday dinner was sacred. Family, friends, anyone who needed a place to go. She looked at Andre with clear eyes. None of the confusion from the night they'd met. You and your children will come to my apartment this Sunday. I won't take no for an answer. Before Andre could respond, the sound of small feet in the hallway made them all turn. Lily stood there in her pajamas, eyes wide. Rose, she exclaimed, running to the elderly woman and throwing her arms around her. You came back. Rose hugged her tight. Of course I did, sweetheart. I brought cookies. Can I have one? Please, Dad? Lily looked at Andre with hopeful eyes. Just one, then back to bed, he conceded. While Lily munched her cookie and chattered with Rose, Jenny moved closer to Andre. I meant what I said, she said quietly. No strings attached. I can see you're working hard to keep things together. Sometimes a fresh perspective helps. Andre watched Rose with his daughter, saw how Lily leaned against the older woman as if they'd known each other forever. I got some bad news today, he admitted. Hours cut at the warehouse. I'm trying to figure out how to make ends meet. Jenny nodded, understanding in her eyes. Sunday dinner, then. We can talk more. After Lily was tucked back in bed and Rose and Jenny had left, leaving behind enough food for several days, Andre sat alone in the kitchen. Their visit had disrupted his spiral of worry, leaving behind something that felt like hope. Sunday came, and despite his lingering pride, Andre and the kids took the bus to Rose's apartment. She greeted them at the door wearing a floral apron, the confusion from their first meeting completely absent. The apartment smelled of roasting chicken and fresh bread. Michael ran straight to the living room where Rose had set up a train set that had belonged to her grandsons. Lily helped in the kitchen, wearing a child-sized apron Rose had found at a thrift store just for her. While the children were occupied, Jenny spread Andre's bills and paperwork on the dining room table. Let's see what we're working with, she said professionally. 2 hours later, they had a plan. Jenny had found several errors in Andre's favor, an overcharge on his utility bill, a fee that should have been waived on his bank account, a tax credit he hadn't claimed. Small things, but they added up. She also made some calls to former clients who owned businesses, asking about job openings with better pay than the warehouse. I can't guarantee anything, she cautioned, but Thomas at the shipping company owes me a favor. He's always looking for reliable workers. Andre felt a weight lifting. It wasn't a solution to everything, but it was a start. After dinner, while Rose taught Lily how to make pie crust, the secret is cold butter, cold hands, and patience, Jenny showed Andre a stack of papers. Mom asked me to draw these up, she explained. She wants to make it official Sunday dinners every week, and she'd like to watch the kids after school 2 days a week. Andre started to protest, but Jenny held up a hand. Before you say no, think about it. Mom needs purpose. The doctor says keeping her mind active will help slow her decline. When she's with your kids, she's sharper, more present. Jenny's voice softened. And I think you could use the help. Andre looked across the room at Rose, showing Michael how to fix a wheel on the toy train. Her hands, though wrinkled, moved with precision. Lily stood nearby, flower on her cheeks, watching Rose with admiration. This isn't just about me needing childcare or your mom needing company, Andre said, SL. Holy. This is about all of us, isn't it? Jenny smiled. Sometimes the families we choose are as important as the ones we're born into. She handed him the papers. Just think about it. Later, as they rode the bus home, the kids clutching leftover pie and talking excitedly about next Sunday, Andre thought about Rose's words from their first meeting. Most people wouldn't even stop to help these days. He'd stopped that rainy night, opened his door to a stranger in need. Now his door, and his life, was opening wider than he'd thought possible, making room for new connections, new possibilities. And for the first time in a long while, the path ahead didn't seem quite so dark. The interview at the shipping company went better than Andre had dared to hope. Thomas, Jenny's client, had taken one look at Andre's work history and offered him a position on the spot. The pay was nearly double what he'd made at the warehouse, with steady hours and benefits that would kick in after 90 days. "We need reliable people," Thomas had said, his handshake firm. "Jenny vouches for you, and that's good enough for me." 2 months into the new job, Andre was finally catching up on bills. The refrigerator stayed full, and he'd even started a small savings account. But the biggest change wasn't financial. It was having Rose in their lives. True to her word, Rose watched the kids after school 2 days a week. Andre would arrive at her apartment to find Lily practicing reading aloud while Rose listened attentively, or Michael showing off a drawing he'd made under Rose's guidance. The arrangement worked for everyone. The kids adored Rose, Andre could work without worrying, and Rose thrived with the responsibility. Sunday dinners had become sacred, just as Rose had said. Sometimes at her apartment, sometimes at Andre's house. The two families shared meals, stories, and a growing sense of belonging. Jenny often brought work home on weekends, but she always set it aside for those Sunday gatherings. On a crisp autumn afternoon, Andre was at work when his phone rang. It was Lily calling from Rose's apartment. "Dad," she said, her voice shaking. "Something's wrong with Rose." Andre's heart jumped. "What do you mean, sweetheart? Is she sick?" "She doesn't know who we are," Lily whispered. "She called me Jenny and asked where Harold was. She got really mad when I said I wasn't Jenny. Now she's looking for her keys and saying she needs to open the hardware store." Andre checked the time. His shift ended in 2 hours. "Did you call Jenny?" "I tried, but she didn't answer. She's in court today." "Stay calm," Andre said, already walking toward his supervisor's office. "Put Michael on the phone." Michael's small voice came through. "Dad, Rose is acting scary. She keeps saying she has to go find Harold." "Listen to me carefully," Andre instructed. "Both of you stay inside. Don't try to stop Rose from moving around, but don't let her leave the apartment. I'm coming right now." 30 minutes later, after explaining the situation to his supervisor, Andre arrived at Rose's building out of breath from running. He took the stairs 2 at a time. The door to apartment 2B was unlocked, and he found Rose frantically searching through drawers in the living room. "Rose," he called gently. "It's Andre." She looked up, her eyes cloudy with confusion. "Who?" "I don't have time for salesmen. I need to open the store. Harold will be waiting for me." Lily and Michael huddled on the couch, watching with wide eyes. Andre motioned for them to stay put. "Rose," he tried again, approaching slowly. "Harold isn't at the store, remember? The store closed years ago." Rose's face crumpled. "That's not true. We just opened last month. Our grand opening was on my birthday." She clutched a photo frame to her chest, the one with her and Harold from years ago. "He's waiting. He'll be worried." Andre sat down across from her. "Rose, look at me. It's Andre Thompson. You know me. You know my children, Lily and Michael." For a moment, something flickered in Rose's eyes, a hint of recognition. Then it was gone, replaced by stubborn confusion. "I don't know any Andre," she insisted. "Now please, I have work to do." Andre pulled out his phone and dialed Jenny's number again. This time, she answered. "I'm just coming out of court." "What's up?" she asked. "It's your mom," Andre explained quickly. "She's having an episode. Worse than I've seen before?" Jenny's sharp intake of breath was audible. "I'll be there in 20 minutes. Try to keep her calm. Don't argue with her, it only makes it worse." After hanging up, Andre approached the situation differently. "Mrs. Wilson," he said formally. "Harold called. He said to tell you the store opening is delayed until tomorrow. He wants you to rest today." Rose paused in her searching. "Harold called you? Why wouldn't he call me directly?" "The phone lines at your house are being repaired," Andre improvised. "He called me to pass along the message." Rose seemed to consider this. "That does sound like something he'd do. Always thinking ahead, my Harold." She sat down slowly. "I suppose I could rest for a bit. I have been feeling rather tired." The children remained quiet, watching the interaction with solemn faces. Andre sat beside Rose and gently asked about the hardware store, letting her talk about the past as if it were present. She described the inventory system she'd created, the customers who came in regularly, the apartment above the store where they'd lived in the early years. By the time Jenny arrived, Rose had calmed considerably, though she still referred to Andre as that nice delivery boy, and didn't recognize the children at all. Jenny took one look at her mother and pulled a pill bottle from her purse. "Mom, it's time for your medication," Rose frowned. "I don't take medication." "Yes, you do. For your heart, remember? Dr. Wilson prescribed it." Jenny filled a glass with water and held out a pill. "Harold would want you to take it. You know how he worries." At the mention of Harold, Rose obediently swallowed the pill. Jenny mouthed thank you to Andre over her mother's head. After settling Rose in her favorite chair with a photo album, Jenny led Andre and the kids into the kitchen. "I'm so sorry," she said, her voice tight with emotion. "This hasn't happened when she's with the children before. She's been doing so well lately that I thought—" She trailed off, rubbing her forehead. "Maybe this arrangement isn't going to work after all." Lily tugged at Jenny's sleeve. "Is Rose going to be okay?" Jenny knelt to the child's level. "Yes, sweetheart. She's just having a confusing day. The medicine will help her remember things better." Michael looked up at Andre. "Dad, Rose told me a story about the hardware store yesterday, about how a boy tried to buy nails with a frog." Jenny's eyes widened. "That actually happened. My brother tried to trade a frog for nails when he was about your age." She looked at Andre. She remembered that story yesterday, but today she thinks the store is still open. Andre nodded thoughtfully. "That's how it works, isn't it? Some days better than others." "The doctor warned us it would get worse," Jenny said quietly. "I've been researching assisted living facilities, but Mom fights me on it every time I bring it up." They all looked into the living room, where Rose was now dozing in her chair, the photo album open on her lap. She looked peaceful, the confusion momentarily erased from her face. "I don't want Rose to go away," Lily said suddenly. "She's teaching me how to make a quilt." "And she helps me with my spelling," Michael added. Andre put his hands on his children's shoulders. "Rose isn't going anywhere right now," he assured them, then looked at Jenny. "But we might need to rethink how we do things." Later that evening, after Rose had returned to herself enough to recognize everyone and apologize repeatedly for causing such a fuss, the adults sat at the kitchen table while the children watched TV in the living room. "I think I should be here when Mom watches the kids," Jenny said. "I've been talking to my boss about working from home 2 days a week. It would mean less billable hours, but family comes first," Andre finished for her. "I understand. But you can't put your career on hold indefinitely." Jenny ran her finger around the rim of her coffee mug. "What's the alternative? Mom can't live alone much longer, but she's not ready for a facility. I've thought about moving her in with me, but my condo barely fits one person, let alone two." Andre was quiet for a moment. "What if," he said slowly, "we combined resources?" Jenny looked up, confused. "What do you mean?" "My house has 3 bedrooms. I'm using the smallest one as a home office, but it could be a bedroom. Rose could move in with us." Jenny stared at him. "Andre, that's too much. We can't ask that of you. You're not asking. I'm offering." Andre leaned forward. "Think about it, you're already spending money on her apartment. That could go toward rent at my place instead. The kids would have Rose there, which they clearly want, and you wouldn't have to worry about her being alone." "And what do you get out of this arrangement?" Jenny asked, though her tone suggested she already knew the answer. Andre glanced toward the living room, where Rose sat between Lily and Michael on the couch, her arms around both children. "We get a family," he said simply. "A bigger, messier one than I expected, but a family nonetheless." Jenny's eyes filled with tears. "You'd really do that? Take on a woman with progressing dementia? It won't get easier, Andre." "Few worthwhile things do," he replied. "Besides, your mother once told me that the families we choose are as important as the ones we're born into." Turns out she was right. In the living room, Rose laughed at something Michael said, the sound bright and clear. For now at least she was fully present, fully herself. Tomorrow might bring confusion again, but they would face it together. The family that began with a lost elderly woman on a rainy night. Moving day arrived with a mix of excitement and nerves. Andre had spent the weekend clearing out the small home office, painting the walls a soft yellow at Rose's request. Lily and Michael had helped, their hands and clothes spotted with paint, their laughter filling the house. Rose stood in the doorway of her new room, a small suitcase at her feet. "It's lovely," she said, touching the yellow wall. "Harold and I had a yellow kitchen in our first apartment." Jenny carried in a box of photo frames. "Mom, you don't have to bring everything at once. We can come back for more things later." I know, dear, Rose said, her eyes taking in the small room. But at my age, you learn what's important to keep close. She picked up a framed wedding photo from the box. And what you can let go. The first few weeks required adjustment for everyone. Andre had to learn Rose's routines, which pills she took with breakfast, which with dinner. The children had to remember to keep the bathroom door unlocked in case Rose needed help. And Rose herself had to navigate a new home while her mind increasingly played tricks on her. There were difficult moments. Rose woke up confused in the middle of the night calling for Harold. She sometimes forgot where the bathroom was or tried to leave the house in her nightgown. Mornings were usually clear for her, but evenings often brought the sundowning the doctor had warned about, increased confusion and agitation as daylight faded. But there were beautiful moments too. Rose taught Lily to make pie crust, her hands guiding the child's as they rolled out dough together. She sat with Michael and helped him practice reading, showing remarkable patience when he struggled with words. On her good days, she shared stories of her youth, of raising Jenny and her siblings, of running the hardware store with Harold. Jenny came by every evening after work and joined them for dinner. At first, Andre worried it was to check on her mother, to make sure the arrangement was working. But soon it became clear she enjoyed being part of their daily life as much as Rose did. One evening, as Jenny helped with dishes while Rose supervised the children's homework at the kitchen table, she confided in Andre. I've lived alone since my divorce 8 years ago, she said quietly. I forgot what it was like to have people waiting at the end of the day. Andre understood perfectly. After Denise died, the emptiness of the house had been almost as painful as her absence. Having it full again, not just with his children but with Rose's stories and Jenny's quiet strength, had healed something in him he hadn't realized was still broken. Spring turned to summer. The shipping company promoted Andre to shift supervisor, with another raise and more responsibility. The savings account grew steadily, and for the first time in years, he didn't dread the arrival of bills in the mail. Jenny took on fewer cases at work, choosing quality of life over the partner track her colleagues pursued. She started coming over earlier, sometimes working from Andre's dining table in the afternoon while Rose napped and the kids played in the yard. Some nights she stayed late, she and Andre talking in the kitchen long after Rose and the children were asleep. On the 1-year anniversary of the night Rose had appeared on Andre's doorstep, Jenny organized a special dinner. Rose was having one of her good days, clear-eyed and sharp, telling the children stories about her childhood during the Great Depression. We didn't have much, she said, but we always had enough to share. My mother would say, what's the point of a blessing if you keep it all to yourself? After dinner, Jenny brought out a cake with a single candle. 1 year of our families finding each other, she said, her eyes meeting Andre's across the table. Lily looked confused. But it's nobody's birthday, Rose patted her hand. Some celebrations aren't about birthdays, sweet girl. Sometimes we celebrate the day our lives changed for the better. Later, after the children were in bed and Rose had dozed off in her favorite chair, Andre and Jenny sat on the porch steps, much like Rose had done a year before. I got a call from the assisted living facility today, Jenny said. They have an opening. Andre felt a strange tightness in his chest. Are you considering it? Jenny was quiet for a long moment. 6 months ago I would have said yes without hesitation. It seemed like the responsible choice, the safe choice, and now, Andre prompted. Now I see there are different kinds of safety. She turned to look at him. Mom is happier here than she's been since my father died. Yes, her condition is progressing, but she's surrounded by life and love. The facility is nice, clean, professional, but it's not a home. Andre nodded. So she stays. If that's still okay with you, Jenny said. It will get harder. The doctor says we should expect more bad days than good eventually. Andre thought about Rose teaching Michael to tie his shoes that morning, even though she'd forgotten Andre's name at dinner the night before. We'll handle it together. Jenny's hand found his in the darkness. Together, she agreed. As summer turned to fall, Rose's condition worsened just as the doctor had predicted. She had more confused days, sometimes spending hours looking for Harold or insisting she needed to open the hardware store. But even on her worst days, she responded to the children with love, even when she couldn't remember their names. On a crisp October morning, Andre came downstairs to find Rose in the kitchen with Lily. making pancakes just as she had that first morning in his home. I added the vanilla, Rose said with a wink, the secret ingredient. I remember, Andre replied, pouring himself coffee. Rose looked at him, her eyes clear and present. You took a chance on me that night, she said. A confused old woman on your doorstep in the rain. You took a chance on us too, Andre pointed out. Coming back, helping with the kids? Moving in. Rose flipped a pancake with practiced ease. The best decisions I've made in my life were the ones where I chose kindness over fear. She glanced toward the living room, where a photo of Harold now sat next to one of Denise. Harold always said you can't live a full life if you're afraid to open your door to others. Jenny arrived as they were sitting down to breakfast, letting herself in with the key Andre had given her months ago. She took her usual seat beside her mother across from Andre. The normality of it, the rightness, struck Andre suddenly. As they passed plates and poured syrup, Andre watched them all. Michael with his missing front tooth, Lily with her serious eyes so like her mother's, Rose showing Jenny a small burn on her finger from the stove. It's nothing. Dear, stop fussing, and Jenny herself, catching his eye with a smile that held a year's worth of shared struggles and joys. I'm thinking of planting a garden next spring, Rose announced. Tomatoes and cucumbers. Maybe some flowers, too. Everyone at the table knew the likelihood of Rose remembering this plan by spring was small. Her good days were becoming fewer, the clear moments briefer, but Andre nodded. That sounds perfect, he said. We can put it right outside your window. Later, after the breakfast dishes were done and the kids had gone to play, Jenny found Andre folding laundry in the living room. She won't remember about the garden, she said softly. No, Andre agreed. But we will, and we'll plant it anyway. He set aside a stack of towels. Some things are worth doing even if the person who inspired them doesn't remember. Jenny helped him fold the last sheet. When I was little, I used to ask my mom why she and Dad helped so many people, giving out loans from the store that never got repaid, letting families shop on credit during hard times. She smiled at the memory. She always said the same thing, and what goes around comes around. Kindness finds its way home eventually. Andre looked toward the kitchen where Rose was now humming as she washed the breakfast dishes, insisting she could still do this one task despite her arthritis. The lost woman who had appeared on his doorstep during a rainstorm had found her way home, bringing with her more blessings than he could have imagined. She was right, Andre said. Kindness does find its way home. Outside, the autumn leaves drifted down, gold and red against the blue sky. Inside, a family built not of blood but of choice and circumstance and love went about their day, preparing for whatever weather might come next, together.